Welcome to Get to Know Dairy Max, your local dairy council. My name is Jen Duhon, and I'm a registered dietitian and program coordinator for Dairy Max. I have a passion for connecting the farm to the table through the story of nutrition. In Dairy Max, we work with our farmers hand in hand to help connect their story of working on the farm. Dairy Max is your local dairy council. And in our region, we represent over 900 dairy farming families who work hard each and every day to provide us with nutritious and delicious dairy. And that helps nourish millions. We're a connected group of experts in dairy farming, education, health and wellness, and even business development. We work for our dairy farmers to help build understanding around dairy as a healthy, beneficial, everyday food choice. And we help to connect the role of the dairy farmer to the American table. During the pandemic, we were committed to continuing our work to help the American family. We worked with food pantries by providing 60 milk coolers across our region. And we worked with 4 trucking companies to ensure that milk was being delivered. We were able to get an extra 440,000 gallons of milk into the families in America. Our goal is to always keep dairy and have it in people's hands. And through our work, we were able to help more than 1.75 million people during the pandemic. Our vision is to be a trusted and science-based resource for consumers and stakeholders. And we are committed to helping all Americans get their 3 servings of dairy per day. But don't take my word for it. We want you to hear from some of our farmers.
Listen, that's the sound of your local family-owned dairy farm. Generations caring for the health of the land and the cows in the barn. That's the rhythm of dawn to dusk chores. A relentless 365 quest to feed our families by feeding yours. That's the melody of a world well fed. Real, natural nutrition to keep you going, from yogurt at breakfast to milk before bed. That's the harmony of people and planet, recycling and innovating to sustain the human race without taking a single resource for granted. That's the music of a future that's bright, making more food with a smaller footprint so the next generation can enjoy full cupboards and clear skies.
We love getting to share our dairy farmers' stories, but especially when it comes to sustainable nutrition and all of the hard work that they're doing to ensure sustainable farming practices. And as mentioned earlier, Dairy Max has many strategic areas of work, and we employ over 50 people who work for dairy farmers each and every day. We partner with the NFL through our business development department, and we also work within schools for our Fuel Up to Play 60 program. I actually get to work directly with child nutrition directors to make access to school meals easier, and we provide consumer communications, all the while working hand in hand with our dairy farmers. We even help provide dairy coolers for food banks and food pantries, even within colleges. But my role as a registered dietitian and the rest of our health and wellness team is to really share the importance of dairy in the diet because it has unmatched nutrition when compared to anything else. National Dairy Council follows the USDA guidelines, which are rooted in science. USDA created My Plate, which is an easy-to-follow food guide, and it helps to teach us how to make nutritious and balanced meals. In the 2020 dietary guidelines, it continues to list dairy as a major food group, and consuming dairy products provides health benefits, especially with building and maintaining strong bones. Foods that are considered in the dairy group are vital for your health and maintenance of your body. And those include milk, yogurt, cheese, lactose-free milk, and even fortified soy milk. But we want to give you a little bit more understanding of how we work with our farmers. So I want to share a little bit about checkoff. Dairy checkoff is governed by the USDA, and this is through the Dairy and Tobacco Adjustment Act of 1983. It is similar to most commodity ag checkoff programs. Checkoff is part of a nationwide effort that helps to support dairy farming and also drive impact for our farmers while we continue to promote American agriculture. Checkoff authorized the National Dairy Product Promotion, Research, and Nutrition Education Program, and it also established the National Dairy Board. We work together to get nutritious dairy products to those in need within our communities, while Checkoff helps to do that for us. Now, in our region of Dairy Max, we are made up of 8 states, which include Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Southwest Kansas, New Mexico, Western Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana. And there's 15 other state and regional organizations across the U.S. that work to provide resources and also continue to share the importance of dairy within the diet. Some checkoffs cover just one state, and as you can see here, others work with several. Within our region, those 8 states mentioned. And as said before, our goal at Dairy Max is to be an action point. We want to help bridge farmers to the health and vitality of the people, the communities, but also the animals and planet. In other words, sustainable nutrition is our commitment. We know that there's a knowledge gap between farm and table, and there's an increasing disconnect between science, agriculture, and nutrition. Less than 2% of the population produces food for the 98% of us who do not live or work on a farm and possibly have never even visited a farm. Many of us rely on social media and influencers that share food systems information, and most of the time it's sensationalized for views and shares, and it's not always the truth. With 60% of students choosing colleges based on their commitment to the environment and over 65% of consumers interested in knowing more about sustainable ag practices, we at Dairy Max want to be able to provide you with the facts. Now, before COVID, food insecurity in the U.S. was at its lowest it had ever been in 20 years. And yet, 35.2 million people, including 10.6 million children, were considered food insecure. The crisis is reverting the improvements that we actually had strived for. We're nationally seeing more than 42 million people, and including 13 million children, who are experiencing food insecurity in 2021. That's a 20% increase in food insecurity within those 2 years. And this is a problem that all of us need to take action on. But looking at sustainability, I want you guys to know it's so much more than a carbon footprint or even a single dietary pattern or one type of food production system. Rather, it's about balancing multiple factors while working towards a continuous improvement with the goal of harmonizing the health and vitality of people with that of the planet. And there are 4 dimensions of sustainable nutrition. We're talking about economics, society, environment and health, and we're also looking at how all of us and all of these come together to work in harmony. Nutrition density is so important, especially to those of us in the health and wellness field, but it should be important to you as well. Nutrition density makes a great impact when we talk about sustainability. So let's focus a little bit more on nutrient density. Dairy is an essential piece of many healthy eating patterns, and it's a key to sustainable story for your clients or for you as a student. And today I want you guys to understand that there is a complex link between agriculture, nutrition, sustainability, and health. And we want to empower you to be that communicator, to share this information with your groups and your other fellow students. Dairy can actually help fill the nutrient gap. Dairy food intake for most Americans is far below the recommendations, which means most individuals within the U.S. would actually benefit by increasing their dairy consumption. Fat-free and low-fat dairy products, plus vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and lean meats are all considered nutrient-dense foods. The nutrients that are provided by dairy include calcium, phosphorus, vitamin A, vitamin D, as well as high-quality protein and potassium. And did you know that dairy is the source of 3 of the 4 nutrients of concern? Nutrients of concern include vitamin D, calcium, and potassium, as well as fiber. This means that they are underconsumed, and this can have linked adverse health outcomes if not meeting those recommendations. The dietary guidelines singly credits the low intake of calcium to the low intake of dairy foods. So if people were to consume their 3 servings of dairy per day, they would actually meet their calcium needs. This is where nutrition education comes into play and where you can help provide accurate science-based recommendations by incorporating and introducing My Plate to encourage those nutrient-dense foods. And there really is no comparison to the essential nutrients that's provided by real dairy. But let's look at those essential nutrients. So you may have been familiar with the 9 essential nutrients, but recently it was reported that milk provides 13 essential nutrients. Some of those that are considered vital to a healthy immune system. Milk hasn't changed. What's inside is what's always been inside. We just have more data available from the USDA that supports that more nutrients in milk help meet the threshold of being a good or excellent source. And this is great news because we can now share that that's even more nutrients that are important to wellness benefits in every serving of milk. Just 1 serving of 8-ounce real milk can actually meet 25% of your calcium needs. Protein is also very important. And not only does it help in building tissue and muscle, it also helps to provide satiety, which is significant for those who are struggling with food insecurity. Real milk contains high quality, complete protein, meaning that it has all essential amino acids that our body needs. And with 8 grams of protein per serving, college food pantries can help meet nutritional needs of their students by ensuring that milk is available. And when it comes to affordability, real dairy wins at just 26 cents per serving. Food cost is important to you and your students. And looking at this chart below, you can see the comparison of some milk alternatives, and they cannot measure up when we talk about real milk. When you compare the nutrient density to cost, you will see that there's actually greatness in a glass of real dairy. Plus, there's many health benefits when we talk about dairy within the diet. As said before, the dietary guidelines note that there's a strong evidence of eating a healthy eating pattern by following My Plate and the dietary guideline. And this actually helps to reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease. Also, there's a moderate evidence that indicates eating healthy and following the food guide that food My Plate is associated with a reduced risk of type 2 diabetes and certain types of cancers, as well as being overweight and obese. We also know that dairy can help reduce the risk of osteoporosis. So dairy can play a part in sustainable health. And recent research estimates that healthcare cost savings of almost $12.5 billion could be met if consumers ate the recommended 3 servings of dairy per day and followed those My Plate recommendations. And again, it's largely attributed to dairy's link to a reduced risk of high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes. But let's move a little bit into understanding the science of sustainable nutrition. The dairy community is grounded in science, and it has been for over 100 years. We know that agricultural practices release greenhouse gases into the environment. Global animal agriculture, which includes all animals such as poultry, pigs, sheep, buffalo, and many others, will contribute to about 14.5% of total greenhouse gas emissions. In the U.S., agriculture contributes 9% of the total greenhouse gas emissions. So roughly 2/3 of this is the result of livestock production, with cropland agriculture contributing to the rest. Sectors like transportation and industry actually have a much higher greenhouse gas footprint than agriculture alone. And while agriculture contributes to greenhouse gas production, it also can be part of the solution. So in 2008, the dairy community came together to do what's called a life cycle assessment. And this is to help better understand where our environmental impacts are happening, but also to establish a baseline for fluid milk and other dairy products so that we can begin to improve. Our life cycle assessment, or the LCA data, indicates that U.S. dairy makes up only 2% of greenhouse gas emissions, and it uses less than 4% of U.S. farmland and 5% of water withdrawal. Again, all while providing significant nutrients to the U.S. diet of children and adults, which includes that high-quality protein, vitamin D, calcium, phosphorus, and so much more. And it's important to note that not all practices fit all sizes. When we talk about forms, one size doesn't fit all, but all forms have a story to tell, and history proves that all forms evolve their practices to help sustain their business. And we know many of you still question, is animal ag really needed in our diet and in our food system? And the truth is, plants and animals are highly interconnected in the current food production system. Therefore, the consequences of eliminating animal ag are difficult to predict and can be unexpected. A study that was published in the Proceedings of National Academy of Science from Virginia Tech found that if we tried to eliminate animal ag completely, we would need at least 23% increase in total U.S. food supply. Most of that would be in high-form calorie crops like corn or soybeans, and again, not necessarily what the American diet needs. Also, there would be the need to eat more food to help meet the nutrient requirements, and this is due to lower essential nutrients that are found in plant-based foods. And we don't know what deficiencies might actually occur due to the lack of essential nutrients. So plant-only diets are not only unable to support nutritional needs, but they're not able to meet the needs of food within the U.S. That means that we would need greater supplementation. And with all of these possible detriments to the environment and even human nutrition, we would only yield about a 2.6% reduction in total U.S. greenhouse gas emissions because industrial farming practices would have to increase with more plant-based foods as well as more land needed to produce more plants and synthetic fertilizers. Not to mention, we most likely cannot sustain the world's nutrient needs on plants alone. So solely plant-based diets may not be the solution for a healthier planet. And so I stress, nutrition and environment sciences are two complex disciplines, but finding the right way to use our resources is key. And making it a battle between plant foods versus animal foods will not benefit our planet nor our public health. Now, dairy farmers and dietitians, we are charged with being a source of credible and science-based information. Here, I want to go over just a few of our dairy sustainable practices that you may not know about. 95% of our dairy farms are family-owned and operated. And milk is local. On average, it's going to take less than 48 hours from farm to fridge for milk to get to you. We know that it takes 30% less water, 21% less land, and 19% smaller carbon footprint to produce 1 gallon of milk than it did just in 2007. Milk, of course, is a nutrient powerhouse containing 13 essential nutrients. And our farmers reuse water multiple times, using it to cool milk, wash the barn, and even irrigate their crops. I don't know if you guys know this, but farmers are really called the original environmentalists. The dairy industry accounts, again, for only 2% of total U.S. greenhouse gas emissions, and dairy farmers are working really hard how to even decrease that to a lower percentage. And dairy milk is actually found in 94% of our households. So we know that you guys know it's an important part of the American diet. And about 80% of a cow's diet is not even consumable by humans. So cows are truly upcyclers. And I want you guys to know, we have resources for you. Also, we've placed several coolers in Texas universities through our Dairy Cooler Food Pantry program. You have coolers at University of Texas San Antonio, Tarleton State University, Midwestern State University, and we're here to work for you and hopefully provide some more. We really encourage you guys to visit our website of dairymax.org or dairydiscoveryzone.com so that you can see videos as the one we played earlier of our dairy up close, learn more about our Dairy Cooler program, and look at our food pantry toolkit. We also are working to get in-person farm tours back up and running, and I encourage you guys to check out that so that we can meet with you in person. We also want you guys to join our newsletters. You can join our Dairy Sense e-newsletter and the Healthy Bites e-newsletter. These come out quarterly, so you're not going to be bombarded with weekly emails, but you will get really great information if you sign up for these too. And we want you guys to email Candace. Candace Bailey works in our business development program, and she can help get more information to how your college campus can work directly with DairyMax. And I really thank you guys for joining us today. We look forward to working with you in the future, and we hope you have a dairy amazing day.